The wooden platform creaked under Rosalind's bare feet as another potential buyer walked away, shaking his head in disgust. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the dusty town square, and still, no one had placed a single bid. She kept her chin up, but her hands trembled at her sides. In all her 22 years, she had never felt so utterly unwanted. Next lot, the auctioneer called, his voice hoarse from hours of selling everything from livestock to household goods. Young woman, good for kitchen work, some reading skills, ... But the crowd was already dispersing. Farmers headed toward the livestock pens. Merchants examined bolts of fabric and farming tools. No one even bothered to look her way anymore. Rosalind's heart sank deeper with each passing moment. She understood why they avoided her. The scar that ran from her left temple down to her jaw told a story she wished she could forget. It had been 3 years since the house fire that claimed her family and left her disfigured. The charitable ladies of her former town had finally grown tired of supporting her, and here she was, being sold to pay off debts she never knew existed. Come now, gentlemen, the auctioneer tried again, desperation creeping into his voice. Strong girl can work hard. Starting bid just $5. Silence. Rosalind closed her eyes and tried to remember her mother's voice, the way she used to hum while braiding Rosalind's long auburn hair. Before the fire, before everything changed. The memories were growing fainter each day, like smoke dissipating in the wind. $2. The auctioneer's voice cracked. Still nothing. Then she heard the steady clip-clop of horse hooves on the dusty main street. The sound was different from the others, more deliberate, as if the rider had a purpose. Rosalind opened her eyes and saw him approaching through the golden light of the setting sun. He sat tall in his saddle, a man who seemed to belong to the landscape itself. His dark hair fell in waves to his shoulders, and a weathered black hat shadowed his face. He wore a long coat that had seen many miles and many storms, but it was his eyes that caught her attention, gentle brown eyes that seemed to see past the surface of things. The cowboy guided his horse closer to the platform and dismounted with fluid grace. He was taller than most men in the crowd, with broad shoulders and calloused hands that spoke of honest work. A few people turned to watch him, curious about this newcomer. "What's the bid on the young lady?" he asked, his voice quiet but carrying clearly in the still air. The auctioneer perked up immediately. "Well now, sir, we're looking for someone to take her off our hands. She's had some ... difficulties, but she can work. $5 to start." The stranger's eyes met Rosalind's, and she felt something shift inside her chest. There was no pity in his gaze, no disgust. He looked at her as if she were a person worth seeing. "I'll take her," he said simply. "You haven't heard the starting bid, sir," the auctioneer pressed. "I said, I'll take her." The cowboy reached into his coat and pulled out a worn leather pouch. "How much do you need to settle her debts?" The auctioneer's eyes widened. "Well, the debts total about $50. But surely you don't mean to $50, it is." The man counted out the coins without hesitation. "And another 20 for her troubles." Murmurs rippled through the remaining crowd. Rosalind felt dizzy. $70 was more money than most people in this town saw in a year. "Sir, you should know," the auctioneer said, lowering his voice. "The girl is ... marked. The fire, you see. Some might say damaged goods." The cowboy's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. When he spoke, his voice carried an edge of steel beneath the gentleness. "Every person has scars, friend. Some you can see, some you can't. Doesn't change their worth." He stepped up onto the platform, his boots echoing on the weathered wood. Up close, Rosalind could see the kindness in his weathered face, the laugh lines around his eyes, and the small scar above his left eyebrow that spoke of his own hard-won battles. "My name is Joshua Bramwell," he said, his voice soft and meant only for her. "I have a ranch about 20 miles north of here. I could use help with the house, if you're willing. But you should know I'm not buying you. I'm offering you work and a place to belong. There's a difference." Rosalind stared at him, searching for some sign of deceit or cruelty. She had learned to read faces carefully over the past 3 years, but Joshua's expression held only honest warmth and something else. "Respect." "Why?" she whispered, the first word she had spoken all day. Joshua smiled, and the expression transformed his entire face. "Sometimes a person just knows when something's right, and you don't belong on this platform, miss. You belong somewhere you can heal and grow and be yourself again." The auctioneer cleared his throat impatiently. "So, do we have a deal, Mr. Bramwell?" And yes, we have a deal." Joshua handed over the coins, then turned back to Rosalind. "What's your name?" "Rosalind," she managed, her voice stronger now. "Rosalind Hayes, or Miss Hayes. Would you like to come home?" Home, the word hit her like a physical blow. She hadn't had a real home in 3 years. Just charity houses and temporary shelters where she was tolerated at best. Yes, she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. Joshua helped her down from the platform, his touch gentle and respectful. He untied a bundle from his horse's saddle women's clothes, simple but clean and well made. My late wife's things, he explained quietly. I thought you might need something warmer for the ride. As Rosalind changed behind the general store, she wondered about this mysterious man who had appeared like something from a dream. When she emerged wearing a blue cotton dress and warm shawl, she found Joshua waiting with a second horse, a gentle mare with kind eyes. She's yours, he said, seeing Rosalind's questioning look. Her name is Sage. She's patient with new riders. The ride to Joshua's ranch took them through rolling hills painted gold by the setting sun. They rode mostly in comfortable silence, but occasionally Joshua would point out landmarks or tell her about the land. His voice had a soothing quality, like a gentle stream over smooth stones, as they crested a hill. Rosalind saw her new home spread out below them. It wasn't a grand estate, but it was beautiful in its simplicity. A white farmhouse with a wide porch sat surrounded by green pastures where cattle grazed peacefully. Smoke curled from the chimney, and warm yellow light spilled from the windows. It's not much, Joshua said, a hint of uncertainty in his voice. It's perfect, Rosalind breathed, and she meant it. As they approached the house, the front door opened and a woman stepped out onto the porch. She was elderly but spry, with silver hair pinned back and flour dusting her apron. About time you got back, Joshua, she called. I was beginning to think you'd gotten lost. Her eyes found Rosalind and softened immediately. And you must be our new friend. I'm Martha, Joshua's aunt. Welcome home, dear. That night, as Rosalind sat at the kitchen table sharing supper with Joshua and Martha, she kept waiting for the dream to end. But it didn't end. The food was real, the warm conversation was real, and the genuine kindness in their eyes was real. I don't understand, she finally said, setting down her fork. Why did you do this? You don't know anything about me. Joshua was quiet for a moment, turning his coffee cup in his hands. I lost my wife 2 years ago to fever, he said finally. She was everything good in the world. Before she died, she made me promise something. She said that kindness wasn't meant to be hoarded like coins in a jar. It was meant to be given away, especially to people who needed it most. He looked up at Rosalind, and she saw the deep sadness in his eyes that matched her own. When I saw you up there today, I saw someone who had lost everything, just like I had. But I also saw someone strong enough to survive it all. Sarah would have wanted me to help. More than that, I wanted to help. Rosalind felt tears spilling down her cheeks, the first tears she had allowed herself to cry in months. Thank you, she whispered. Over the following weeks, Rosalind settled into her new life with surprising ease. She helped Martha with the cooking and cleaning, tended the vegetable garden, and even learned to help with the ranch accounts. Joshua never treated her like a servant, but rather like a member of the family. Slowly, carefully, they shared their stories. Rosalind told him about the fire, about losing her parents and 2 younger brothers, about the years of barely surviving on charity that often came with a price. Joshua spoke of his beloved Sarah, of their dreams for the ranch, of the loneliness that had nearly consumed him after her death. One evening, as they sat on the front porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of rose and gold, Joshua turned to her with something new in his expression. Rosalind, he said softly, I hope you know that you're not just helping here because I need a housekeeper. You belong here because you've brought life back to this place. Back to me. Rosalind's heart began to beat faster. Over the past months, she had felt her feelings for Joshua growing deeper than gratitude, stronger than friendship, but she had never dared to hope he might feel the same. Joshua, she began, then stopped, touching the scar on her face self-consciously. He reached over and gently took her hand away from her cheek. Don't, he said. You're beautiful, Rosalind. Not despite your scars, but, including them, they're part of your story, part of what makes you who you are.